Somewhere in these hills, among the ghost towns and empty winds, lies a woman who played her cards better than most men ever did. She was a gambler, a mystery, and then a Wild West legend. In the 1870s, Bodie, California was the kind of town that would chew you up and spit you out. Over 2,000 buildings once populated this area, and at its height, over 8,000 people called Bodie home. One of those people was Eleanor Dumont, a self-made entrepreneur with a French accent, dark eyes, and a voice that commanded respect from brutal and violent men. So how does a woman like that, who built her own fortune, who could sway every room she entered, end up alone, broke, and dead in the open fields of the roughest mining town in California? Eleanor Dumont was born Simone Jules, most likely around New Orleans, but possibly in France, around 1829. She was young and petite, with dark eyes and an elegant demeanor. She first stepped into the mud-caked streets of San Francisco in 1849, one face among thousands chasing the promise of gold. Eleanor quickly found employment at the Bella Union, a rowdy gambling hall in Portsmouth Square. No one knows how she talked her way into dealing cards. At the time, card dealers were exclusively men, but soon she was the main attraction, raking in money hand over fist from miners and workers enamored with her charms. Still, she had no interest in being anyone's sideshow. By the early 1850s, she'd moved to Nevada City, now known by another name, the Little French Madame. She opened a gambling parlor called the Vieux Carré, or Old Square. Soft lamplight, no drunks, no profanity. Champagne instead of whiskey. In a town where men fought over dust, she offered something polished. They called it a new kind of gold rush, and every miner wanted a seat at her table. Her game was 21, the precursor to American blackjack. She dealt fast, clean, emotionless, the perfect professional. Even those who lost swore she was fair. Soon, she had a business partner, a gambler named Dave Tobin. Together, they ran one of the busiest halls in the foothills. There was even a short marriage with Dave, respectable on paper, a mistake in practice. She walked away in less than 6 weeks. But it wouldn't be the last time she bet on the wrong man. After Nevada City, Eleanor drifted with the gold, Helena, Montana, Virginia City, Pioche, Nevada, where she used her charm to subdue a noisy, quarreling crowd of miners by laughing at their ungentlemanly conduct. There was Deadwood, South Dakota, where she allegedly met and befriended Calamity Jane. Everywhere the promise of a new boom meant another room full of cards. To the men of these dusty communities, she was a curiosity wrapped in silk and cigarette smoke. And then came the nickname she could never outrun. The faintest shadow above her lip turned into gossip, and gossip became a headline, Madame Mustache. It was degrading. She hated it, but it gave her more notoriety. And notoriety created cash. By 1871, she had grown tired of the road and bought a ranch near Carson City, Nevada. For the first time ever, it looked like she might slow down. Alone and completely out of her element, she met a man named Jack McKnight, a charming, handsome man who swept her off her feet. He claimed to be a cattle buyer who could help her ranch succeed. They married quickly, but within months, he sold her cattle, her land, and everything of value, then disappeared. When she finally found him a few years later, legend says she didn't ask for an explanation or for her money back. She simply lifted a shotgun, pulled the trigger, and left him where he fell. The sheriff refused to arrest her. Maybe he knew what the rest of the frontier already suspected. Eleanor Dumont didn't bluff. But time and weariness soon caught up with her. By 1878, she arrived in Bodie, California, a place that burned through people the way other towns burned through whiskey. She was no longer young and had put on weight, but no woman on the Pacific coast was known better. Still, with the waning of her beauty, she could no longer coax the crowds or command the cards like she once had.
On September 7th, 1879, almost a year after her arrival in Bodie, she borrowed $300 from a friend for that night's play. But the cards wouldn't fall, and after a few hours, she had lost everything. Without saying a word to anyone, she wandered a mile outside of town and drank a lethal dose of red wine laced with morphine. Telegraph wires soon carried the news from coast to coast. Madame Mustache was dead. I walked through Bodie this week, what's left of it, the dust, the boards, and the silence. It's easy to imagine her ghost here. Not haunting, just lingering. She wasn't a villain, but she wasn't a saint either. The papers called her Madame Mustache until the very end. A punchline for readers who would never understand what it took for a woman to survive here in some of the deadliest towns in the world. The Old West simply called her one of its own.